from the First Street Studios in South Tampa, Florida, it's time for another round of Last Call 76 with your host, Dan, Jay, and behind the camera, the one and only Jess.
Well, Dano, we both got an affinity for the Chicago Bears deep down, man. You grew up in Chicago.
I thought we weren't talking about the Bears today.
Well, somewhat we got to. I mean, this is a different story.
Big difference. All right, get on track because this is a very important one.
This is not just Chicago Bears. This jersey is that of Mongo McMichael. Mongo, for those of you younger kids that weren't around in the 80s and 90s, Mongo was a defensive tackle for those great Bears teams in the 1980s, along with the University of Texas. Mongo also was one of the true larger-than-life figures in sports. And I say was, he's still with us. Also went up to won wrestling in WCW back in the day. Mongo, as we speak, is going through one hell of a fight. ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. It is just a complete, and I'm trying to not be emotional here, but it is a nightmare. There's no cure for it. There's no stopping it. There's nothing you can even do to try to make it comfortable. It tears you apart. It makes some of the strongest people you've ever seen. It withers it down. I mean, I don't know if you've seen pictures of Mongo lately.
Yeah.
Mongo was a burly, big dude.
I mean, he was the infrastructure of the defensive line for the 85 Bears.
Exactly.
Which is still one of the best known football teams in the history of the NFL.
Exactly. And now Mongo, last picture of him, he's a shell of what he was. I mean, he's thin, he's frail. It prevents you from eating. It prevents you from talking when it finally hits. It is brutal. You don't wish this on anybody. And I'm just going to throw out there, and we try not to, we do our own business. We run our own business. So I'm going to say this though right now. If you got an opportunity, go on Facebook, look up Team Mongo. Go on Google, look up Team Mongo. They have shirts they're selling for Mongo that 100% of the proceeds go to his family. They could use all the help they can get because this is an absolute brutal fight. And this goes for anybody that's got ALS. Look up however you can do to help because my hope is one day we can find a cure for this.
Absolutely.
It is horrifying.
And it strikes a lot of people, but especially in the professional sports. There's been so many.
Think of it who it was named after, too.
Exactly.
Lou Gehrig's disease. I mean, it's just such a brutal fight. And I don't want to get too emotional on this, but Mongo was a guy I grew up as a fan of.
Yeah,
you grew up a fan of the Bears.
Yeah, I'm a huge Bears fan. I think the important thing as well is to look at the positives, though.
Right.
Okay, for what he did in his career, because he's a legend. He's a huge legend in the Chicago area.
Absolutely.
And I mean, going into movies, wrestling, winning a Super Bowl championship, now a candidate again for the Pro Football Hall of Fame this year.
Senior committee. Yep.
Senior committee. I'm hoping and praying that he did enough that he gets in, not because of his sickness, but because of what he did for the sport and what he did after the sport. You never heard him in the law. You never heard him, discrediting, say, the NFL, the organization. He was in Blazing Saddles. A lot of you guys, have you heard of that movie way back? Wasn't that, who was the screenwriter on that? Funny guy?
Yes, I follow you.
I can't even believe I'm drawing a blank there. But an excellent, funny movie back then, probably not appropriate in today's world, obviously, right? But good show on that. But let's move out of that a little bit and just talk about the Bears organization right now.
They've got an interesting decision on their hands. Now they officially have the number 1 overall pick. There is a Twitter X handle. I'm not used to ever calling it Twitter, anything but Twitter. There's a handle on X who is claiming that Caleb Williams refuses to play with the Bears. It's a blue check mark.
It was breaking again today, saying he will not enter the draft until the Bears
trade the pick.
Agree. First of all, Caleb Williams, and I'm not interrupting you, Caleb Williams was a college football player.
Right.
He wants it in writing that the Bears aren't going to do that. This goes back to the unprofessional Peyton or the Manning family with Eli and the Drew Brees scenario, is it? Or the Phillip Rivers part.
Phillip Rivers, yeah.
Yeah, Caleb Williams doesn't run nothing.
This goes all the way back to John Elway when he refused to play for Frank.
What would have happened? Okay, his NIL money's big, but who is he? that shit the bed against Tulane in the Cotton Bowl. There's my cuss word. Okay? Played like crap this year. And this because for some reason he's still projected as the number one pick. See, who is he to dictate policy?
I'm gonna cut you off there.
Sure.
And no disrespect. If this is accurate, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Here's my cuss word. There's a lot of ethics issues in journalism. I have seen Caleb Williams on X with my own two eyes, liking posts about the Chicago Bears, including one that recently celebrated Virginia McCaskey's birthday.
I got it. Because he thought he was going there.
So if this is a man who does not want to play for the Bears organization, would he be going through such great lengths? Maybe. I don't know.
He doesn't even know who McCaskill family is.
You don't think so?
He may.
Because, I think he's smart enough to study that the team that might draft him.
Okay, but I'm saying before that, it was never a vision.
Okay, because if he is really being this big of a petty jobber, then yeah, you don't call the shots, man. You either play where you're drafted or you don't play.
Or he goes in the new USFL league, the merger.
Yeah, right, the UFL.
The UFL.
But the sad thing is we've seen this happen so many times. Bo Jackson did it here in Tampa.
Yeah.
We've seen John Elway do it in Baltimore. Eli Manning. I'm sorry. That's fine. You don't have to play. We own your draft rights for the rest of your career. You can either come to Chicago or you don't play.
So, see, it was to help the fans. What people don't understand, if Chicago drafts him and he plays for the UFL,
yeah,
you'll never play another snap in the NFL until you go to the Chicago Bears.
And that is if Caleb Williams is actually saying this stuff. I don't know what's bullshit and what's not with the people nowadays. I don't know who's saying crap on X to try to get clicks or hits or trying to get noticed or what, because you don't know who's who and what's what nowadays.
All right, so let's talk about...
So I don't want to smear the man's name wrongfully.
I don't either, but let's talk about this. Just like the news networks, especially going into another election, we don't talk about politics. We have the most corrupt media.
It's horseshit.
Honestly.
Yeah.
If you watch any news, you are being told a lie.
Right.
And I don't care what anybody says, because I've lived that life. I've lived a political life. I know what it's like. I see what people are doing. They're pulling people left, they're pulling people right. Okay? That's how this country works.
Right.
I'm not getting into no politics. You want to talk it, come over here and we'll talk it. But the bottom line here is we don't know what's being said, okay, 100%, because he has not said it. He knows that if the Chicago Bears choose to take him, he either goes be a Chicago Bear, a trade has to happen, which the Rivers Manning situation happened with Eli, or you go play in the new league that starts right after the Super Bowl, that's going to flop. It's not like the USFL of old, which we brought amazing athletes into the NFL. Let's just be real. We brought Steve Young, Warren Moon,
Reggie White,
Herschel Walker for the New Jersey Generals. Okay, it's different. This league is almost as bad as the he hate me guys and all the wrestling name tags back in the day. So this is what happens, and people need to understand it. If the Bears say, I got 2 number ones, I draft Caleb Williams, that kid will never take a snap in the NFL unless the Bears get compensated for the draft pick or he takes a snap under center by the Chicago Bears. Understand that. He has no say in this. Immediately, the way the NFL Players Committee and everything else works in the unions, right? That kid cannot skip a year, 2 years, 3 years, and then come back to the NFL without going through the Chicago Bears.
Absolutely.
Let them know that, though, because you are a finalist on the ESPN show.
Dream.
You know this.
Well, here's the whole thing, okay? They've got to set the law now, because with NIL, you're going to see more and more players hold these teams hostages like this to where, look, I don't want to play for this team. Well, too bad, man. That's the way the draft, that's the way the cookie crumbles. You don't get to call the shots of where you get drafted by. Here's the deal, though. Whether Caleb's saying this or not, I'm not taking Caleb Williams, and it has not a single solitary thing to do with whether or not he wants to go to Chicago or not. I think Justin Fields can be a really good NFL quarterback. In fact, if you put his numbers over a 16-game schedule, 17-game schedule, when he's healthy, and you let him progress and you put weapons around him, is there really that much of a difference between him and Lamar Jackson? No. Now, here's what we do know. This guy's draft stock, his name is here. Last year, they saw what they got for Bryce Young. Bryce Young's name was here. I'm getting on the phone with the Washington Commanders. I'm getting on the phone with the New England Patriots. They're the only two teams. And I'm getting into a bidding war. And if you don't think New England will do it, they just fired the greatest coach in NFL history. And you could say mutual parting of the ways, my rear end. That was the ultimate, it's not you, it's me. Okay? They had Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback in NFL history, and I begrudgingly say that, walk out the door. They need an adrenaline shot in the arm to keep the fans coming back.
That's right.
They will make a move. You don't think Magic Johnson, who's part of that ownership team, doesn't like splash? And by the way, Caleb Williams is in Washington. Get into a bidding war.
Washington, D.C.
Yeah, Washington, D.C. Get, the Commanders hold that second-round pick they got from Montez Sweat. Get an additional first-round pick. Get 2 first-round picks. Move down 2 spots and take Marvin Harrison.
All right, we got to close. But here, think about this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
This is what I would do. If I was Chicago, I'm trading down.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Washington have the pick.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to trade down to New England. I'm going to get 2 first rounds of 2025.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick up some second and thirds along the way.
Yep.
I'm going to pick Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm going to let New England and Washington have Caleb, and who do you think, Jared?
Drake May or Jaden Daniels.
Jaden. And who's the other one out of North Carolina again?
Drake May.
Yeah. So whoever they're going to go, whatever situation. But the Bears are going after Marvin Harrison.
Oh, yeah.
And then what they need to do, if I may, real fast, helping you out here, Chicago fans, this is what you need to do. So you already got that capital. Now you need to creep up to the Arizona spot. Check this out. A lot of people aren't thinking this. But if we're going to keep Justin Fields, which I think they should, just develop him, right? Now think of this scenario though, Jay. So we're going to go ahead and take Marvin Harrison at 3rd. Now we're going to take the 9th spot or the 10th spot, I think it is right now. And we're going to go ahead and trade up all the way to Arizona, because Arizona can't take a quarterback. And here's the reason why, because they're locked in. That dude's contract ain't ever getting bought out.
Nope. So
with that being said, you trade up to Arizona, you give one of those 2 picks you just got, and guess who you get? You get Brock Bowers.
Oh.
Now, Justin Fields automatically becomes a Super Bowl quarterback. Brock Bowers, right? And you got Marvin Harrison Jr.
And DJ Moore.
The game's over. The Chicago Bears might be in the dumpster fire of that division right now. And look, now it's going to become Minnesota, because Detroit's awesome. Green Bay's getting better. Owns the world right now in draft capital. And Minnesota, if they sign Kirk Cousins and he gets hurt again, look, let's be honest. You guys are all Kirk Cousins believers from Minnesota, but we got to be real here. 11 of their games last year were won by a touchdown or less. This guy is unproven.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be mean about this.
No.
But he's not going to get you to the promised land with what the NFC North looks like next year. Look, 2 of them are in there right now. And then Chicago's coming.
Right.
If they do this draft right now, look, we know for Minnesota's sake, and everybody, Chicago Bears will screw up a draft better than anybody in the history of the league. But if they get this right, what we just said, Marvin Harrison at 3, you pick up 2 picks for 25, you move down, and then you move back up to Arizona, who is not in the position to take a quarterback. So you move up. Arizona's willing to get draft capital because they're going to need it.
Yeah.
They got to build around that quarterback. I'm not saying his name for a reason.
Right.
But you know who he is. You can say it.
1,000%. I know what you're saying.
All right. But my point is, if you got Bowers, right?
Yep.
And you put that in with
Full Komet.
And then now on top of that, bro, you got Marvin Harrison Jr. It's over, because Justin Fields, he needs those weapons. 2 tight ends, DJ Moore, it is over. And if the Bears are smart, they're listening to this, because automatically that division is bringing 3 teams to the playoffs again in the NFC for the next 10, 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because Detroit's not going nowhere. The only team that's getting left out of the bag here is Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Justin Jefferson, mark my word,
He's done.
Even with the Kirk Cousins deal, he don't want to be there. Yeah. So the bottom line is that's my bet on the Chicago Bears. And unfortunately, we had to talk about Steve McMichael. But if you guys support him, vote for him, send messages in, buy his stuff, help him out, because he was a part of the legacy Bears from '85. And a lot of Bears, teammates from there are already, gone.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll leave the names out, other than Sweetness is one of them.
One of few.
And let's continue on to another show. But the Chicago Bears are coming. Not like, not like, not
No, 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 no. We
yeah, but
they're coming to take names.
They're coming, man. So, hey, thanks a lot for tuning in. Subscribe if you like our show. This episode of Last Call was brought to you by SJP Snapshots and Minx Inc. Clothing and Apparel.